Real Madrid has tied 3 straight league games for the first time since 2020. So they had a scoreless draw against Rayo. It was then a 2-2 draw against Elche, where both teams were going back and forth in who was scoring the goal. And then most recently, it was a 1-1 draw versus Girona. And it was Mbappe that was able to get the penalty kick to help Real Madrid at least walk away with a point in this one. Now, Real Madrid's manager, Xabi Alonso, spoke on this and the lack of offense of his Real Madrid side, saying, we have to maintain the unity we have, the necessary self-criticism, and the desire to win away from home. We've lacked the ability to play more good football, attacking football, and dominance. We need to analyze why we haven't been able to do it so we can try to do it from the start. Now, Nico, so one of the things that we're wondering is how Xabi Alonso can get the best out of his side and why he hasn't been able to so far. And what the reports say is that there's maybe a little bit of clashing in the locker room. How much does that play into all of this?
Yeah, Real Madrid need just to get going from a collective point of view. The offense, for me, will fall into place because they have so much quality, and Mbappe is scoring at an astonishing rate. But rather from a collective point of view. And that's going to start to block out a lot of noise. Winning cures a lot of things, especially at a club like Real Madrid. And the media is putting pressure on Xabi Alonso right now. I mean, listen to the music that we bumped into this segment with 3 games. You could go 3 games winless, but it's also a 3-game unbeaten streak. They haven't lost, right? Obviously not ideal for a team like Real Madrid, but you need to start putting those victories together and stay in the title race of La Liga for those big games, because those big games, like against Barcelona, which you won, like against Atletico Madrid, which you had a terrible loss in, those will mark your present and will mark what the atmosphere around the club and the perception around the club will be.
Yeah, there's this sense of question mark that I have about the togetherness of this side. And the Girona match, that was a concern for me because you saw this sense of confusion. You saw players, Vinny and Arthur, arguing amongst each other. There's a lack of leadership that I see right now. And the big difference I see, a player who I'm concerned about is Federico Valverde. He doesn't look happy. He doesn't look like himself. He doesn't look like he wants to be there. This team needs more leaders. They need someone to be the glue like they had in the past. And this is a coming of age moment for this current group.
Yeah, and there's work to be done on both sides of the pitch. So we will dive into defense. But, Aaron, specifically offense, Nico said it. This is an offense. You got good players. There's talent there. Yeah. How do you get them to mesh? I always think that for a team like this, maybe sometimes there's too much talent that things start to clash, but that's on me. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
what are you thinking?
It's down to Xabi Alonso to figure out this mix and the players to really, really lock in and work with each other. Vinny Jr. has been an issue this entire season. Whether or not he wants to be a Real Madrid player, it remains to be seen. But Real Madrid lack control in midfield overall. It affects them defensively. It affects them offensively. I think they don't. Arda Güler looked like he might have been the player to drive this team forward, to really grab the team by the scruff of the neck and be the controller in midfield. But he hasn't stepped up in a way that I really, really wanted him to this year. You've seen some of those arguments between him and other players, and the decision-making specifically from Güler in midfield hasn't been good enough over the last few matches. Overall, this team just lacks They needed a Zubimendi. There was rumors that they wanted him in the last summer, but they don't have a controller. They lost Cruz. They lost Modric. They have not had a player to step into this Real Madrid midfield. The closest one has been Dani Ceballos, and he is not Real Madrid quality in my opinion. He's a fantastic player, but not a Real Madrid player.
Dani Ceballos last season,
at times he was that guy.
Until he got injured, right? Yeah. In a critical moment of the Champions League. This team is begging for a Zubimendi type profile because Arda Güler, it feels like he's a 3/4 or a final third type of player rather than someone who's going to construct.
Yeah, right? And Bellingham doesn't want to do that job either. Tchouaméni can't really do it. Camavinga can't really do it. They can break up play. They can carry the ball, but they're not going to run the entire match. There's no one in the team that does that. You talk about Valverde. He has been really, really poor, shunted out wide. You can't play him through the middle because he's really not confident enough, good enough on the ball. they need that play at Real Madrid do.
Yeah. Different ways that we can fix the vibes here. And Lahoud, I'm going to have you take it, because if I gave it to this guy right here, he'd do what he did when we had him fix the vibes for Brazil. He said samba, a night out. And so give me some more
that's specific for Brazil.
Yeah. That was actually on point, by the way.
To be fair, it's not.
You're describing Carlo. No, when I look at Real Madrid, we've heard a lot about what's going wrong, but the intangibles that I look at is number one, in-game management, and that's a Xabi Alonso thing. I think his in-game management's actually been very poor, and I've been shocked by that because that was something that was outstanding at Leverkusen. I look at two matches. The one where he got it wrong is the one that we're talking about. He shouldn't have taken out Vini Jr. in El Clasico, and we had differing opinions of why he did, Vini's reaction, but he got that wrong. Against Girona, he took out Tchouaméni, and he put in Rodrigo, and they lost control of the match. Girona could have easily made that 2-1, right? So, yes, you have the players. Yes, you're trying to get the system, but in-game management is everything.
Even in the Champions League against Olympiacos, you go up and you're waiting those final moments, hanging from the crossbar, trying to, begging for the game to be over. It doesn't feel like Real Madrid. You have to have a little bit more class in the decisions that you make in order to see games out with that structure. And it feels like when pressure's up against them, they suffer a little bit more than is expected.
Yeah, and the place I think they're suffering the most is in the midfield. That question of, at the start of the season, without Jude, Arda Güler shown. Jude came back. Arda Güler, sometimes maybe good, sometimes. And then in the last couple matches, teams are exposing that imbalance in midfield. And I highlighted Fede Valverde. Fede wants to play in the middle of the park. And in this Xabi Alonso system, that ain't it for him. We watched the Club World Cup. And at different times, he had Fede in a more advanced position, oftentimes playing him almost like a right-sided midfielder of sorts to get him forward. I think that's his best position. And then in the midfield, different games have different players that step up. I mean, where do you think is the best position for Arda Güler when you look at him in Real Madrid?
Yeah, in the midfield, pulling the strings. So we just sometimes, like you say, we see good moments of quality, and sometimes he's not able to imprint his football onto the game. I think Fede Valverde is like the biggest glaring issue with Xabi Alonso. Like, forget about Vini, forget about Mbappe, forget about Güler for the moment. If you can recover a player like Fede Valverde that gives you everything, you look at his last seasons, he's been incredibly consistent. He gives you verticality. He has a good shot from distance. It's just another layer to your game, and Real Madrid have lost him. Xabi Alonso has not used him to the best of his abilities, and obviously there might be some off-the-field issues, like Valverde saying that he doesn't like playing right back, and Xabi Alonso went, all right, you don't like playing right back, how about you play right bench? And perhaps it sorted itself out. Nevertheless, it's still not Valverde at its best. And I think if Valverde is at his best, Real Madrid will start to begin to feel like they're onto something.
I do believe if Valverde is at his best, it means Real Madrid has probably found the best way to play, because when Real Madrid are at their best, Valverde is usually at his best.
What's been interesting for me to see is because Barcelona and Real Madrid haven't been as good this year, you see the way that they really celebrate. I don't know if you guys saw Hansi Flick going like this when he celebrated, so I'm curious to see how Real Madrid and maybe Xabi will celebrate if they do get the win against Athletic today. But let's walk through the starting 11. I want you to show me how these two are going to face off against each other. Nico, walk us through what we'll be seeing in this matchup today.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked at length about Real Madrid. For Athletic, on the other hand, listen, San Mamés is an incredible place to play. It's a difficult place to go. I'm very much worried about Athletic Club. They are a shadow of the team that they were last season, and their best players aren't performing. You look at Iñaki, who's out injured. You look at Ollán Sanset, who's suspended for this game. And then, who am I missing? Robert Navarro, who's been an incredible, like the silver lining of this pretty offensively poor season, out injured for a couple of weeks now. All of those guys unavailable today. And if you look at the likes of Iñaki, Sanset, and even Berenguer, who is one of the attacking minds of Athletic, he hasn't scored. He has like 3 assists only. Berenguer, Sanset, and Iñaki had like 50% of Atletic's goals last season. They're not even creating that many chances, and they're not taking advantage of those chances. Athletic are in a very delicate state right now. This could be a game that could perhaps reinforce Ernesto Valverde, but it could also be a game that just brings down all of the confidence at Athletic at the moment.
But would you say it's more delicate for Real Madrid today? Who would you say this is more delicate for? Athletic? Why? You don't think
at home, you lose at home in a big game?
Especially the way that they're playing.
They're not playing well.
Creating chances. They're not scoring goals. I think they've got 3 players who have scored more than 2 goals. Nico Williams, Golazo are on that list. They barely create anything. They don't look good, especially if they lose in front of in this San Mamés, in front of those fans. If they lose badly as well, it could get.
Real Madrid is Real Madrid. I mean, we're hearing reports that Xabi Alonso is on the hot seat, that there could be a meeting held on Thursday. I mean, you don't think, Lahoud, that Real Madrid would be the one more in the hot seat?
I agree about Athletic Club. This is a massive game. And I think you see the difference between the trajectory Barcelona are going. There's a togetherness about Barcelona. After the match, Hansi Flick, all smiles. The team came together, celebrated as if they just won La Liga. Real Madrid, after their match, players, jerseys over their heads, looking at Xabi, not even going over. There's discontent between the two sides. Watching Real Madrid this season, there's a theme that's starting to unfold. Teams that high press them and get after their midfield, get after their backline, force turnovers. Midfielders are getting goals. So I look at it, Berenguer. This could be a breakout game for him to get between the lines in transition. And when I look at Real Madrid, Federico Valverde needs to play right wing. He needs to give cover for Trent, and maybe Arder deeper next to Tchouameni and not up here
How many
to give
times
more solidarity.
have we said breakout game for Athletic, breakout game for Berenguer? They've come and gone this season and they don't show up. That's my problem with Athletic. Like, in theory, I like the makeup. I've seen this team play well, but this season, not at all. So if you ask me, who's more on the hot seat, Valverde or Xabi Alonso? I think Valverde. For me, Valverde is the answer.
So if Xabi loses this, he's more on the hot seat? If he loses this? Whoever you're saying Valverde is more on the hot seat compared to Xabi if they lose?
I think if Valverde loses, if whichever manager loses, I think Valverde has a clear opportunity of getting fired.
That was a mental. That was
sorry.
I asked the question wrong.
I understood. They both can't lose. In the possibility of them losing, I think Valverde is closer to getting fired than Xabi Alonso.
So what happens if there's a draw? No, I'm kidding. We don't have time for that.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.